Welcome back, friends. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief intro to a mixing board and how it functions in live public performances as well as rehearsals. So here we're looking at a relatively small mixing board. This would be considered an 8-channel mixing board, and you'll notice that the channels are lined up vertically this way, okay? So if you've never worked with a mixing board before, just know that mixing boards, generally speaking, are set up in this way where each column represents one channel, right? So here we have a whole bunch of different channels available. Now, mixing boards can come in as little as 4 channels or 8 channels, as we have here, all the way up to, we can go 16, 32, 64, just a whole bunch of different sizes of mixing boards and models as well. Now, usually there are 2 types of inputs available. Now you'll see up here, we have our XLR inputs, and then we also have our line inputs. So XLR are for microphones, and line inputs are for keyboards or any other type of device that you can hook up an instrument cable to as well. Now, one of the common features of a mixing board, which actually you can't see on this one, it doesn't have it on this one, are channel faders, right? Those things that you can slide up and down to control the volume, right? So for this one, we just have simple knobs to control the volume this way, but channel faders are very common in most mixing boards. Along with this, there should usually be a master fader, right? So for this mixing board, we have the master volume right here, right? And again, other mixing boards might have a fader to control the master volume that way. Also, here on the top, these 4 black knobs represent gain. Now, gain controls the amplitude of the signal. So let's just say you have the volume set all the way up to 7 or 8, and you're still not getting a loud enough signal. You would increase the gain to make sure that you get a little more power coming from the signal that way. And then these blue knobs right here represent EQ. So if you want to, organize the EQ for, let's just say again, a vocal track, right? You have control over the highs, the mid, and the low frequencies to make sure that you have a sound that is desirable. And then here on the bottom, we have panning. So panning controls the stereo image of the sound, right? So what I'm talking about is if I pan hard left, this channel will now only come out of the left speaker, okay? And also if we pan hard right, you will only hear it coming out of the right side of the right speaker, right? If you have it down the middle, you'll get both. You get an equal signal from both. So panning is a good way to kind of create some separation between different instruments and kind of give a nice full sound to the band. Now, another button that is actually not here on this mixing board but is very common in other boards is a mute button or a solo button, right? So a mute button or solo button usually will be somewhere near the volume knob or the volume fader, so that way you can go ahead and mute individual tracks, or you could also solo individual tracks, which means that you could just hear one track specifically without necessarily having to lower the volume of all of the other tracks. Along with this, be aware of the master outputs, right? So for the master outputs, we have our main outputs here, and we also have our monitor outputs, right? So we talked earlier about using monitors on stage. So this is where you would send the signal out for those, and then here's where you would send the signal out for your main speakers. Also, a lot of mixing boards have effects built into them. So this mixing board here has a few different effects such as chorus, or also like a delay effect, as well as a flanger type sound. So become familiar with a lot of these different sounds and see whatever works best for you. And finally, please be aware of phantom power. So phantom power is when you give an extra boost of voltage to your signal. Now, most dynamic microphones don't require phantom power, but a lot of condenser microphones will typically require phantom power to be used. Sometimes you'll see a little button that says 48V or 48 plus, and that also represents the phantom power button. Clear up a lot of the mystery with the mixing board. We will see you in the next video. Take care.